This is Matt Jackson of the Young Bucks, and you're listening to the Kayfabe Connection, your home for facts, rumors, knowledge, trivia, and everything you know or hope to know about pro wrestling.
Welcome back to the Mankind Cave. This is the Kayfabe Connection, and I've been away for a little bit. Had some personal business to attend to. Actually, my father was going in for a surgery, and I had to go home and take care of him back in Metro Detroit, and everything worked out okay. So we're back at it. Had a little hiatus, had a little bit of time to think. And, I ended the last podcast, which now these new episodes will be available exclusively on YouTube. We're going to try the YouTube route initially, and we'll see what that branches into. It could be my own solo podcast again, available on iTunes and Stitchers as it was previously distributed. Also, could be looking into maybe branching out with a network and having... I don't want to say like-minded podcasts, but just podcasts of the same vein in terms of just being big-picture thinkers, objective podcasters who want to put out quality content instead of whoring out the same, let's review Raw, let's review the pay-per-view, and so on and so forth. So, man, that stuff gets so frustrating. And that's kind of what inspired me to just... as lame as it sounds, make a comeback, to get back on the podcast mic, because for every good podcast I hear 98 shitty ones, and it's just regurgitating the same concepts, the same talking points, the same discussion pieces, cliche statements, cliche just shows. And I still feel that there's a voice missing. There's a voice missing in the wrestling podcast community that offer a take on all wrestling, not just WWE. And not to brand myself a WWE bashing show where, I'm just going to shit all over WWE all the time, because that would fall into the category of those aforementioned podcasts that I just despise. Ethan Page is killing it right now. All Ego Ethan Page competing this weekend for Evolve in Chicago and Livonia. There's all kinds of wrestling going down this weekend. NXT, Battle of the Super Juniors, all kinds of stuff that's currently happening in the forefront. Why aren't people talking about it? And we're hearing the same topics, and I know there's going to be 9,000 shows that are going to talk about the whole Randy Orton thing, and I'll throw myself in the hat, because I'll add myself into the mix of that, at least that topic. There's going to be some topics that unfortunately everybody's going to cover, but if there's one thing that I want to at least contribute to and provide for certain wrestling fans, is that there is a voice out there for people who want to look at the big picture. I'm not doing this for retweets. I'm not doing this for favorites, likes, and all that stuff. Now, if you enjoy the show, please share the love, spread the love, retweet. I was on the Oversell podcast. Shout out to Derek and Mike and them down in Memphis. I was on the Oversell podcast the last few weeks, just kind of working out all the podcast rust. And I brought it up on his show. It takes 2 seconds to retweet, to just share with your friends. The motivation can be different than just, I guess, a small token appreciation that people that enjoy the podcast want to give. I put it to you like this, being an educator for so long, you'll have students that'll come up to you and tell you how you've changed their life, and how you made such an impact on me and in so many ways, and you've influenced me, and so on and so forth. Those are very humbling comments, and I appreciate you telling me. But the most important person to tell this to are the powers that be. It's the people that can influence change. And so saying you don't do it for retweets and likes, and that may seem hypocritical, well, hey, share it, or you gripe on someone for not sharing it. It's not so much the concept of make me famous and I'm going to make money off this wrestling podcast. It's more so along the lines of, wrestling fans, the wrestling community, we're pretty awesome. I still venture to say, out of all sports fans or any genre, niche type of fan base that there is out there, wrestling fans are cool. They're probably some of the coolest. There's some bad apples in there, and trust me, once this podcast gets going, we'll address all that. We'll address the hypocrisy of certain wrestling fans. We'll address all those topics. But wrestling fans as a whole, in general, are cool people, and we all enjoy this niche product that the status quo turns their nose up at. There's people who scoff at the idea of wrestling. The idea, just the sheer notion. Oh, you watch wrestling? It's fake. Yeah, so are Desperate Housewives of Atlanta, or stupid-ass Chris Lee Knows Best, or The Voice, or any of those other shows. You enjoy it. It doesn't affect my life that you watch 972 singing competitions or dance competitions on reality television. So why do you hate on me? So we're great at defending. You've seen with Randy Orton's recent comments, you've seen, Vader. Anytime there's somebody, the jackass from Kings of Leon, anytime someone questions the art or insults the sheer notion of pro wrestling, we're quick to defend. The sad thing is, while we're so up in arms about that, it's almost like, unless you're a pseudo-attractive female, or a wrestler commentator, or a person that's just involved in wrestling, a personality, I guess we would refer to them as, unless you fall along those lines, your word is not taken seriously, or you're just not going to get your voice heard, because people don't share voices of those who they relate to the most. They share ideas from, these thirsty ass dudes on social media. They'll retweet something that their WCW says, or that Joe Blow pro wrestler or former Joe Blow wrestler said. But when someone's actually critiquing and being objective and using facts and bringing a certain level of knowledge that can exist outside of the wrestling world, you can follow wrestling and not actually ever take a bump, but still provide a social context and a commentary that is almost at an expertise level, because you've been succumbed to so much. You've been exposed to so much. You've been keen and cognizant and aware of everything around you. So that's what I'm saying with this. To make a long story long, is, I'm not jumping back on this for, to take myself way too seriously, like some people. I've stated it on Twitter, that, the fact that people are so self-important these days and almost tweet their every move or their every thought, and that's the gift and the curse of social media, especially Twitter, is, at any point everybody can say how they feel, and there's no takebacks. The internet, it's ruthless. We can screenshot. You may be able to delete it, but someone within that time frame of that post to that deletion, there's such a thing as screenshots. So people are just so quick to, be thirsty in those ways, and that's not something that is going to be done, at least from this point forward. I just want a voice to be heard for all wrestling across the globe, from the East Hemisphere to the Western Hemisphere. To progress to all the way to the West with PWG. And so to put a voice on that, and to add a certain level, I guess, a breath of fresh air, because it's missing, and it's currently missing. It's been gone. It was missing when I was doing a podcast still. So to have any type of presence, 1 people, 300 people, 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people, whatever audience this could reach, fantastic. So just to differentiate between not doing it for retweets, but, ending an episode or beginning an episode with, hey, the formalities, the plugs and stuff. Hey, at the letter Kayfabe Connection on Twitter, Kayfabe Connection on Facebook, YouTube, that whole deal. That there's an idea behind that, and it's not to whore yourself or to seek some type of fame, but to just build a community of fans that have the same idea of, not same thinkers, we're not robots, we all can agree to disagree, but to at least build a community of people who are tired of hearing the same stuff, tired of talking about the same topics. You see, an extension beyond wrestling, you look at ESPN, everything is about LeBron. This dude hasn't played a playoff game in days. There's like one of the best series we've seen in basketball in years, and all the media seems to talk about is LeBron. And you get tired of people just kind of just ignoring or stepping over topics that should be addressed and should be discussed. So I wanted to make sure this wasn't too long-winded, but just kind of like a brief reintroduction back into just the kayfabe limelight, wherever that limelight is shining on. Thank you for the support the past 4 years, and thank you for the current, the present, and the future support, for just building a community of fans who want to talk about New Japan, who want to talk about indies, who want to get away from just simply bashing WWE. That's pretty much all I got at this point. There will be several topics addressed. That's the beauty of this whole YouTube idea. So moving forward, before, all new episodes would post Sunday night, Monday. I think at one point Kayfabe was dropping on Tuesdays, Thursdays. I mean, hell, it seemed like every day of the week there was a new day of the week where, okay, well, this would be a good time. And that's one of those things, too. You listen to so many podcasts, by the time Raw and SmackDown are over, that's what, Tuesday night? So Wednesday, by the time you get to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're towards the end of the weekend. I mean, there's all these topics that Raw's been over for days, and you're hearing, let's recap Raw, right? So there's no perfect day, like a singular day, to just drop a podcast, because news is ever changing. There's situations and topics and scenarios and just different fun stuff that happens where there's more freedom, and just something happens, look at all the facts, see what's been bubbling up, see what potential there is, kind of ponder and consider what magnitude exists within this topic, how breaking news is this breaking news, and so on and so forth, and to just attack and go from there, right? And to be in real time, in a sense. A news breaks, just drop 5 to 10 minute episode. It doesn't even have to be an hour, or some episodes that we did on the podcast were about 2 hours. But just a matter of fact, just to the point, bare bones in it, 5 to 10 minutes. Some videos might be longer and extend into longer time periods, but just to give a take on different subjects and to break it down, YouTube seems to be the venture that's most rewarding in terms of that, producing content, and content that's readily available and easy for everyone to listen to. You don't have to go, well, I have this phone and I don't get Apple Music, or I don't get Stitcher, or I don't get... Everybody can get on YouTube. The app is free. And that's another thing to harken back to, not doing it for retweets or anything like that. Everybody's been teasing me since I'll keep it amongst friends and stuff, and haven't really made it official, public, what the plans were, but talking about anticipating YouTube being the source of content for this podcast, and hearing people joke about, oh, well, make sure you don't cuss on there because YouTube won't give you money. I don't give a fuck. So oops, I said fuck. They're going to demonetize wrestling already because there's a stigma attached to wrestling podcasts, and rightfully so in some cases. But you can have intelligent conversation. You can have an intellectual perspective on dudes rolling around in their underwears, you know, putting each other in wrestling holds. Right? So, but again, who fucking cares about demonetization? Great. You know, there's other podcasts who they e-bag and they have Patreons and stuff, and that's their lane, and that's cool. No disrespect. It's just, I'm just doing this to build a community and to make friends like I've done for the last 5 years. And doing this, and whatever comes of it, comes of it. So that's the direction of Kayfabe Connection now moving forward today, as of today, May 17th, 2017. So this is the reintroduction into Kayfabe Connection. If you want to chime in on this, definitely comment below the video. Leave a comment. And also, if you want to subscribe on Twitter, it's at the letter K, F-A-B-E, Connection. Make sure you follow Kayfabe Connection on Twitter. There's all types of commentary, reactions, questions that are posed. I love getting discussions started and hearing what everybody has to say. And once again, we're not robots, so we're not going to all say the same. It's okay to disagree. Wrestling's like ice cream flavors. Some people like mint chocolate chip. Some people like Neapolitan. Cool. You know, you hating Roman Reigns does not affect me liking Roman Reigns, and so on and so forth. So just want to build that community out. That's it. That's all I have for you. That's it for another episode of Kayfabe Connection. Next time someone tells you wrestling's fake, you know how you tell them. So are movies and TV.